Hello everyone, welcome back to Reddo Reads. Today we have r/MaliciousCompliance. If you want me to cover some specific subreddit in the next video, leave it in the comments. But you're not my manager. Okay, so years ago I was working for a government facility which was undergoing a massive transition as a majority of the employees were reaching retirement age. This place only did a mass hiring to replace people once every 15 years or so. One of the new hires was coming in to replace the current training department head and was given the title of Deputy Department Manager, while he trained for the new role and prepared to take over. We'll call him Eric. Dude was the biggest prick I have ever encountered. He was constantly finding reasons to write people up and spoke down to everyone with a lesser title than himself. His first actions as a deputy manager was to change the way we did training and change the hiring process to micromanage who could get hired to this already in-depth vetting process. Job required a top secret clearance. I was a part of the class previous to these changes. Training could take upwards of 3 years to complete, and he immediately had it out for anyone from our group that didn't meet his criteria. One day we all started getting called one by one into the training manager's office for a meeting with the department head, HR, and Eric. Now I know what's going on, as the people getting called are problems Eric has been trying to get rid of. So I pull Eric aside. Hey Eric, I have an idea of what's happening, but just so I'm not blindsided, are you guys writing us up for something? If so, what incident? So I can make sure I know what went wrong. Eric: I'm not allowed to talk about that as per employee handbook. Only your direct manager can discuss that, and as deputy manager, I am not your direct manager. Cue malicious compliance. So I get called into said meeting and yep, they are writing us up and most for thing we had already been written up for. Apparently, Eric had convinced HR that writing everyone up again for all of the offenses in a single write-up would make it easier to track. This place could only hold the write-up against you for a termination purpose for 1 year. This scheme effectively reset the clock on a lot of those previous write-ups. In my meeting was department head, HR, and Eric, with a huge grin on his face. I looked at HR, then looked at Eric, and asked HR why Eric was there. They replied to observe. I asked, but doesn't the handbook say that only my direct manager, Chain, and HR are privy to these meetings? If so, I am not comfortable with Eric being here and would like him to leave. His demeanor instantly changed, especially since HR agreed with me and had him leave the meeting. Now, without him there, I was able to make a case as to why the new write-up was invalid and violated the handbook. Department head had no clue, or at least find it, that we had already been written up for these offenses. Ultimately, got the whole lot of the write-ups for everyone tossed out. Made myself target numero uno for this guy who eventually got me fired a couple years later, but not before I got him demoted. One morning, Eric wakes up, opens a newspaper, and he can see the hiring ad. We are looking for people who hate guts of other people. And Eric is like, yes, I was made for that. Otherwise, I cannot explain why there is this type of managers whose sole life purpose is to make everybody's else life a living heck. Y'all, we finally hit 200 subscribers! I am so happy. Do you think we could hit 250 until the end of this week? It sounds minor, I know, but for me it's such a big deal. So if you can, hit a subscribe and you will make my day. Want all the documents? No problem. Many years ago, I did all kinds of admin work at an oil terminal. One of my jobs was to take care of all the documents after vessels had been loaded. Bills of lading would usually have to be couriered to a bank, so I would take care of that as well. Now, I said bills of lading had to be couriered to a bank, but that's not entirely true. Every time a vessel would come to load, we'd receive a document distribution matrix. Originals of document X to be sent to A, copies to B, C, and D, originals of document Y to be sent to B. Well, you get the gist. I would usually completely ignore that matrix. I knew exactly who needed what, and I knew that the bank only cared about bills of lading. So I would just send them those, and that was never a problem. That is, until someone new started at said bank and would complain about missing documents. Next time, I added some more documents that I reckoned might be vaguely relevant, but again, they complained about missing documents. I am still not sure why that was, only the bill of lading was relevant to them. But the next time a vessel had loaded, I was very happy to give them exactly what they wanted. The document distribution matrix was probably once drafted by someone who didn't know what they were doing, then ignored by everyone, so it never became a problem. In this case, however, I was going to need a bigger envelope. I followed the matrix to the letter. 1 original plus 4 copies, you got it! I was really happy because I had spotted the fatal flaw. Some background first. For every chemical product, there is a Material Safety Data Sheet, MSDS. They contain all sorts of information regarding safety of product, and over time, they've become monstrosities. So here's what made me so happy. The matrix also mentioned 1 original and 4 copies of the MSDS, which was 250-page document. There is absolutely no reason why the bank would need even 1 copy of the MSDS, but it was in the matrix, and I had been told to follow the matrix. So I did. I printed it 5 times, copied all other documents 4 times, and ended up with a stack over 1,500 pages. Here's when my sadism kicked in. The 3 original bills of lading, the only documents I knew the bank actually needed, went randomly into that stack. The person on the other side would go through that entire stack to find those 3 pieces of paper they really needed. I heard nothing from them. The next time I had to send documents to the bank again, I reverted to what I'd always sent to them. Again, silence. That's when I knew I'd won. From then on, all was back to normal. Well, if I were OP, I would do this thing every time. But that's 1,500 pages every time. We do not have enough trees for this malicious compliance. Fastest readers in existence. About 20 years ago, I used to work for a mobile phone company. Cell phones for you Americans. It was in a student town in the UK. We were the 2nd selling store in the country, the top sellers being in London. We had a great team from the manager on down, around 10 of us. Could sell to anyone. If we couldn't close the sale, we would swap to another salesperson and they would have a go. Different techniques for different customers. I would get a lot of sales from the older generation, just because I took the time to sit down with them and explain exactly how the phone worked, how to text, how to make a call, etc. Remember, this was 2004. No iPhone, no touch screens. Well, around summer, we had another store cover for us as we went on a 3-day training course. They didn't tell us what it was about or anything. They put on a video for us and it was something like, "The new and better way to sell!" Audible groans were heard and one, "We should be teaching them" comment. A lot of corporate mumbo-jumbo went on this course. "With these techniques, you will sell, sell, sell." We were told what we could say and what we couldn't say to customers. We couldn't ask someone, "How are you today?" because they could be having a bad day. Couldn't say, "I'm sorry." "I'm sorry" in the UK is a phrase that you say basically for any bad news. "It's raining." "Oh, sorry to hear that." "My goldfish passed away." "Oh, sorry, mate." We had to read off a sheet and ask questions of that sheet. This is where the fast reading came in. A colleague of mine came up with it. Basically, what he would do is read through the sheet as fast as he could. He got very good at it, and within a couple of weeks, the whole store could read that sheet from memory. Bear in mind that wasn't terms and conditions sheet or anything important. It was something like, number 1, greet customer using this phrase. Number 2, find out why customer is in the store. Number 3, did customer say yes 3 times? We had to fill out this form each time and attach it to the contract if we sold a phone. This guy got fast. I mean, he could do the sheet in like 5 seconds. He would basically grab a customer and just say to them, I have to follow this sheet, and show it to the customer. Then rattle through it while the customer is looking at the sheet. He would then say to the customer something like, now that I have fulfilled my obligation, then go back to what would work for him normally. That sheet lasted less than 3 months. We started printing already filled out sheets to speed things up. Throughout the company, sales went down as people weren't allowed to be themselves. It was like the ways call centers are now, run off a script. Nobody wanted to buy from a robot. We did their script, but nobody said we had to do it slow. Ooh, I can see it. Some high-level manager wakes up and he's like, well, today is revolution in sales of our company. Then he waltzes off to some department, I guess research and development, and he's like, well, you are lucky today because I present you brand new, revolutionary, never seen before, amazing selling technique. First, we have to greet the customer. And then it goes on. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. You can also watch this awesome video or that awesome playlist. See you next time!